thanks so much for taking the time. I understand this tour for you guys is all about going back to Grand, the 2009 album, and I was wondering just right off the bat, why that one?
I mean, it was the one that really kind of changed it for us. I we had an album before that, and we were still kind of just doing our underground thing. I guess we were playing a couple festivals, but we did not see um, what happened with Grand Coming, where it just reached this whole new audience that was way bigger than we had expected. And I don't know. Also, our first album we consider a pretty mediocre album, so maybe that's why we didn't do this for that album. It's
Well,
our
I mean,
first time. Yeah.
that's fair. I mean, the first album you were what 2 years into knowing how to play the keyboards?
Yes, and we only had a week to make it. We we had no idea how long it took to make an album. So we were asking people, they're like, I don't know, a week. And after that, basically every album we've done has taken like 9 months to make. So I guess, we need a little extra time.
Awesome. I want to touch back on the festival question for a second because I know you guys played Lollapalooza in 2007 before the album came out, and that you played several festivals since then. And my question for you was, do you remember what it was like to play before Daylight and before Grand, and what the difference has been?
Um, well, it's interesting. I mean, our vibe has stayed similar, which I think people who only know a couple of the songs like Let's Go or In Daylight and stuff like that might not think about kind of the punk rock energy we bring to the stage, which has always been our thing and always been having an audience that dances around and stuff like that. But, I guess I can do a comparison because 2007 Lollapalooza, I remember that. That was our first major festival we ever played. And we opened up a side stage, like at, first on the stage, 11 a.m. maybe. And it was the earliest I'd ever drank in my life at that point because I was so nervous beforehand. I started drinking at like 9:30 in the morning, which was a new one for me. And we played and it was all good. Like there was people there. We were so excited about that. But funny enough, then this band CSS dropped off the show because they couldn't get through immigration and they had us play another set that evening. And I was pretty drunk, as you can imagine. But I think it went all right. But then fast forward to us playing Lollapalooza again in 2010. And I think about this one video. Rolling Stone put up this video that it's kind of there's footage shot from stage and stuff like that, and we're playing on the main lawn, and on an afternoon slot, and it was just people as far as I could see, and it was not just that they were like seemed to be dancing and jumping around, and I think that was certainly a moment for us. Not that I say that was the biggest show we've ever played, because it's certainly, there's been things have grown past then, but I do think that was a moment that we're like, wow, like this is not what it once was.
So there's only two of you in the band, and one of you, Kim, has spent before this tour about 18 months rehabbing from a pretty bad leg injury. And I mean, we're all happy that she's back and she's touring. But my question for you is, you've been playing since 2006, or maybe even before that. I might have had that note wrong. What do you do when for 18 months your partner in crime and on stage is unable to play the drums?
It was a weird year. We had to cancel all of our shows that year. And we had never, my entire adult life has been this band. We started playing like when I was in college, and like, so having a year where we didn't do shows was it was like seeing into the future and what it'll be like when we don't get to do this band anymore. I'm going to tell you, I didn't like it one bit. And so it was tough, and it was a really hard recovery for an ACL tear. I know that a lot of people have dealt with that injury, and Kim's so tough, but somehow it really just knocked her down, and the surgery was even worse than the injury. And it was just a long, difficult recovery. And Kim's such an upbeat person. was really heavy to watch her down. But we came out the other end, I think, even more excited than ever to get back to playing shows. And um, so I don't know. I mean, but then I don't know. Maybe you've heard, maybe you haven't, about a month ago she tore her other ACL. So we're back in it again. Yet she's been doing rehab on her knee, and we're going to do the tour this fall in about a month. But she's going to do it without an ACL. So she's going to do it in a brace, because the surgery again is worse than the injury in certain ways. So we're going to do the tour, and she's really strong already. She's super committed to physical therapy. That's where she is right now. And but then after the tour is finished, she'll do the surgery, and then it's back to there again. But that's life. We've kind of come to grips with it.
I had down the bands that you've toured with and a couple other things, and I missed that. I knew you guys were pretty punk, but that's full on metal. I was gonna ask you what that first show back was like, but I guess you'll find out all over again.
Yeah, I mean, it's nerve wracking because you certainly get all swept up in the show, like the adrenaline kicks, and as much as your doctors and whoever, as much as I can tell Kim, all right, just take it easy. She can't take it easy. I mean, I wouldn't be able to take it easy either. You get swept up in it. I've seen pictures of myself standing on top of the scaffolding of of like a festival stage where I'm not holding on to anything. And nowhere in normal life would I ever do that. I see how dumb it is afterwards, super unsafe. But when you're all caught up in the moment, you just kind of feel invincible or something. I don't know. Maybe that's why we've kept going back to it for so many years.
That's fair. So you've toured in support of bands like Blink-182 and My Chemical Romance. You've started. You did a whole tour opening for punk bands. What is the most fun of the bands that you've opened for? And now you guys are headliners, so you won't get in trouble for this. Who is the most fun to open for? And if you don't want to give me a name, just a style of music that makes for a fun crowd.
Well, yeah, that is tough, and because we've toured with so many great bands. And I'll parlay the question and see if I can bring it back, which is that I like that we've been able to tour with so many different genres of music. Like we've toured with people like Blink and Against Me and sort of a more punk thing. We toured with Major Lazer and a more dance thing. We toured with Ellie Goulding and a more pop thing. We've toured with like so many different types of music, and I feel lucky to not be just put in one sort of spot where you're only in one kind of scene. But I do have fond memories of like shows that us and Girl Talk did together in the past. It's a super fun show, and to us, the funnest shows are just the ones where people come out and they want to jump around and dance, and that's our whole goal on stage, and that's been what it's been since we started. And because to me, if I was a band that was on stage and it was just, if we were a slow band and it was people kind of bobbing their head, it'd be like being a comedian on stage and having no one laugh at your jokes. I need the immediate feedback, and that's totally what fuels everything we do. So even if one's just familiar with our more indie sounds, I don't know if they'd be ready for like the mosh pits and crowd surfing and stuff that happens at a Matt and Kim show.
I'll tell you what, I knew that people danced. I didn't know there was a mosh pit. But what I do know is that you guys are in Cleveland on October 17th at the Agora Theater, and that I will be there, apparently moshing, and that I am
hell yeah,
super.
Dude, Cleveland went off the last show we played there, and sometimes that's the thing. I can't put my hands on it, but there's certain cities that just really love to get loose, and that's what we want. And granted, this is also the first show of our tour, so it's like opening night energy, and I guess you'll see how it happens with Kim with a new injury and how it goes.
I am super excited. I'm sure everybody else out there is excited. For the rest of the show, we'll be talking Matt and Kim without Matt, unfortunately, but I did want to thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you coming on. I am super excited for the show, and pass along my support to Kim and my absolute excitement to see the both of you.
Will do. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.